Hello and welcome to The Frame's Year in Review episode. This week we take a look back at the year that was in Framingham as we recap some of the top stories we covered in 2025. Of course, this was an election year in Framingham as the race for mayor was at the top of the ticket for local voters in early November. Leading up to Election Day, we here at Access Framingham were proud to host both a mayoral debate along with a forum filled with conversations between various city council candidates. Official results showed that nearly 9,700 residents, which represents roughly 23% of the voter base, took to the polls this year. The incumbent Charlie Sositsky was elected to another term as mayor as he defeated his challenger Jeff Epstein, a former member of the local school committee. Sositsky got about 55% of the votes compared to Epstein's share of nearly 43%. With his victory, Sositsky became the first person in Framingham's short history as a city to win re-election to the top executive spot in the city government. 4 city council races were contested on the ballot here in Framingham as well. Brandon Ward won re-election in District 2 after defeating challenger Carol Spack. Mary Kate Feeney will take over for the outgoing Adam Steiner in District 3 after she defeated Ken Weiss in an open race. Michael Cannon clinched his 5th straight term as District 4's city council member after he beat challenger Stephen Belcher. In a rematch of 2023's election in District 8, John Stefanini won the council seat he had previously held before losing to incumbent Leslie White Harvey. The outcome was different in 2025 as Stefanini will be sworn back into the legislative body at the start of the new year. Meanwhile, Lorena Tovar and Brent Lewis, the latter of which is a member of AFTV's board of directors for full disclosure, were voted onto the Framingham School Committee in Districts 2 and 6 respectively. Tovar defeated incumbent David Gordon, while Lewis was victorious after Eddie Rodriguez bowed out of the race prior to Election Day. Kyle Shepard will join the school committee as well, after running for the District 7 seat unopposed. Additionally, voters overwhelmingly approved a litany of changes to the Framingham Home Rule Charter. Those changes include clarifications to limits on what positions elected officials can hold, as well as the inclusion of a Chief Climate and Sustainability Officer within the local government. The prolonged situation in Framingham revolving around the MBTA Communities Act wrapped up in 2025, as the city was deemed to be fully compliant with the state zoning law. In short, the MBTA Communities Act mandates that any municipality with T-service, including Framingham, must have at least one multifamily housing district by right within its zoning. Cities and towns out of compliance with the mandate run the risk of missing out on sources of state grants for various projects and initiatives. After months of local debate and consideration about where the district should be located within the city, along with the state law's merits, Mayor Sositsky submitted the Downtown Central Business District, which was initially approved by town meeting voters back in 2015, for consideration to be approved at the end of 2024. State officials granted conditional compliance through the CB district this past January. In the following months, local leaders considered the merits of utilizing that downtown area for the MBTA Act, along with potential changes to the district's height limits and parameters. Back in June, District 9 City Council member Tracy Bryant outlined her hesitancy to the idea of that area holding additional housing units, even with stipulations like 3-story building limits in place.
I think we need something that's really vital going there. I don't think a whole nother set of apartments is the answer.
In the end, the state granted Framingham with full MBTA Act compliance in July. The city now has the capacity on paper for roughly 5,300 multifamily housing units in the CB district, which is more than the approximately 4,300 units that were required by the law at minimum. Stories revolving around immigration were seen across the U.S. this year, and Framingham was no exception. Multiple community forums were held in 2025 to outline where people can find resources and information regardless of their immigration status, while Framingham Public Schools Superintendent Dr. Robert Tremblay informed the community in September that education leaders had not seen any activity from U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement operations within local public schools. He did note, though, that fears within a community with a sizable foreign-born population have at least partially attributed to a dip in school enrollment.
We want to remind our families, our staff, our students that we are here for them. We're not standing above the law, but we need to make sure that everyone understands what the rules are, what the rights are.
Over the course of 2025, multiple assemblies were staged in Framingham to protest ICE operations within the city and to express support for the local immigrant community. In November, city council members asked the Framingham Police Department to clarify the city's partnerships with federal agencies when it comes to immigration enforcement. Deputy Police Chief Sean Riley explained that FPD has agreements with agencies like ICE, Homeland Security, and the FBI to tackle major crimes, though the authority to enforce immigration law is not conveyed to the city's police officers. In summary, a 2017 Massachusetts Supreme Judicial Court ruling in Lund v. Commonwealth dictates that local police departments cannot obstruct or interfere with federal immigration operations, though municipal police also cannot detain an individual beyond their lawful release time based solely on their federal civil immigration detainer. In turn, Riley told local legislators that FPD's policy is to not directly participate in federal operations if they are only related to civil immigration laws, only stepping in if a criminal warrant is in play. The deputy chief said civil immigration enforcement is not relevant to the local police department's mission.
We do have access to a lot of information as law enforcement. We do. That's a great responsibility that we do have. But we need to use it correctly. And asking for immigration status does not matter to us. And it specifically states in Lund decision, in policy, that you can't ask unless it's very specific, related to very specific crimes. And there's a handful of those.
In January 2026, the City Council is slated to vote on an ordinance to codify the police's current policy into local law. Framingham officials, residents, and healthcare workers alike spoke out in 2025 against a proposed plan to reduce maternity services at Metro West Medical Center. Mayor Sisitsky informed the City Council in February that Tenet Healthcare, the Texas-based company that owns Framingham Union Hospital, which is a part of Metro West Medical Center's umbrella, planned on closing the local Level 2B nursery before shifting it to a Level 1A nursery. In a basic sense, Level 2B sites provide special care for birth complications, while Level 1A sites offer basic care for newborns and their families. During a public hearing at the Memorial Building in April, comments from dozens of stakeholders related to that proposal were overwhelmingly negative. Points outlined by speakers included concerns about accessibility to vital birthing services, gaps in coverage, and morale dips among hospital staff members. This maternity situation emerged right before Framingham Union nurses filed a petition in March calling upon Tenet leadership to resume union contract negotiations, as the vast majority of nurses voted to join the Massachusetts Nurses Association, the largest union for RNs statewide, in early 2024. Some folks, including maternity unit nurse Rebecca Cashman, advocated for Tenet to at least maintain a Level 1B ward, one that would provide some of those advanced resources, such as the presence of at least one in-house advanced practitioner within the hospital at all times.
As Metro West nurses, our central question is why such an extreme downgrade? We have the space, the equipment, and the knowledge, not to mention the passion, to provide this care for our local community. Retaining at least a Level 1B status would allow us to continue to take care of our own vulnerable newborn patients.
Ultimately, it was announced in August that Tenet would transition the site into a Level 1B nursery, a decision that MNA president and Framingham native Katie Murphy called encouraging. Those were just some of the major stories we covered throughout 2025. If you want to learn more about what's happening in Framingham, be sure to visit www.theframe.news. We've got full written articles there, along with feature pieces completed across the community, and a calendar filled with upcoming local events. Be sure to subscribe to our email newsletter too, so that you're always up to date with Framingham news in focus. Of course, no week of The Frame is complete without our frame-by-frame feature, and the same goes for our Year in Review episode. In 2025, we were fortunate enough to speak with dozens of interesting people across the community, while learning more about locally based stories, issues, history, and events. We compiled a selection of some of those frame-by-frame pieces we've produced throughout the year. Let's take a look.
Hello, my dear Frame by Frame audience. Did you know Frank Sinatra used to hang out in Framingham? Does climate change stress you out?
What's the best way to get to Logan from Framingham?
I'm Lilia Cormack, and this, and this, and this, and this, and this is the Frame by Frame.
As we're celebrating our 50th and Framingham is celebrating their 325th, we're making a lot more connections between where we started as the Danforth in Framingham and the city of Framingham now.
The uncertainty of how this federal administration is going to target Framingham, specifically our immigrant community, which is really the bedrock of Framingham in so many different ways. Even look through our downtown. It's shaken us to our core, and the uncertainty has impacted our school district, our downtown area, our economic development, has impacted everyone, our collective mental health.
I think the immigrant community, they are so afraid right now. They are afraid to go out of their houses. They are afraid to send the kids to school.
Experiencing part of the benefits of mental health through running while fundraising at the same time for mental health. It was a nice symbiotic relationship there.
It gives you a lot of time to think and process, and it helped me. Like when I was out for a run after he died and I was training for Chicago, I would just run and cry and think about, all the losses, And so it's very therapeutic that way.
Running 26.2 miles, why would anybody do that?
There's nothing like it. There's no other marathon like Boston.
30,000 people participate in the Boston Marathon each year. But did you know approximately 500,000 people come out to support them throughout the 26.2-mile course?
I take it you guys are from Canada.
Yeah! We're from Chicago, Illinois.
Sydney, Australia.
I'm from Indianapolis, Indiana.
Liverpool.
Mexico City. I'm from Germany.
Christchurch, New Zealand.
You've probably wondered once or twice why your housing costs are so high.
Are you a resident of Framingham? And if so, how long have you lived in Framingham?
No longer anymore. After 13 years.
After 13 years.
Under unfortunate circumstances, we couldn't find anything affordable.
At The Frame, we spoke with community members and elected officials to answer your questions and identify resources in the greater Metro West region to combat the issue.
We don't say no when someone offers free clothing and essentials for our students who are suffering with homelessness.
We're giving students an opportunity to think about other important things and not some of these really basic needs that we would love to share with them.
When a student can sit in class and feel comfortable, they can learn.
We really need to treat the opioid epidemic like the public health crisis it is, and not a moral failing.
It takes a village to recover. It takes a community to come out of the despair that we have found ourselves.
It helped me a lot, I ain't gonna lie, a lot, I was so lost, so this place is, what can I say? It changed my life and everything.
Hi, I'm Allison Yama. I own the Thomas Nixon House. Welcome in. History isn't always found in a museum, and they only have to look as far as, the house next door, really, in New England, to see that rich history.
Before the Green Monster got its name, before Fenway was built, and before the Red Sox even existed, there was a different Boston team, the Boston Braves.
When they started being fielded in the early 1870s, they were one of the earliest teams that we have record of. And in fact, it's purported that they are the longest running fielded team in American sports history. Framingham was very much part of this leadership and ownership cycle from the very beginning. What was the Mirador?
Mirador was a pretty special place.
The Mirador is about amazing music. It is about Framingham being an entertainment center in Massachusetts. But it's also about how important it is to get together, to see each other on a regular basis, and to really have a special space and time set aside to be a community together.
Framingham is dear to my heart. And thank you, Framingham.
More content from all of our Frame by Frame features can be found on our social media accounts. Our home on Instagram is @FrameNews_, and you can search for The Frame on Facebook as well. Subscribe to Access Framingham's YouTube channel and hit the bell icon there to get a notification whenever new content is uploaded. We post full Frame episodes onto Spotify, too. We encourage you to watch or listen to the show there. That will do it for this week and this year of Framingham News in Focus. On behalf of our entire team here at The Frame, thank you for following along with us in 2025. We'd like to wish you a very happy new year. We're back next week for our first episode of 2026. Until then, I'm Brendan Fitzpatrick. Take care.